Welcome, ladies and gents, to another listed top 10. Today we're going to be counting down the top 10 games from 2020 so far. There were so many potentials that could have made this list and an overwhelming amount of first-person gun games, so we might make a list dedicated entirely to that genre. But we will most definitely be making a video for the upcoming games in the second half of 2020, so stay tuned for that. Also guys, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without wasting any more time, let's get down to business. Kicking off our list at number 10, we have Dreams. UK-based developer Media Molecule turned us all into platform game creators with its beautiful DIY puzzler Little Big Planet back in 2008. Now the same studio wants us all to build our own video game, movie, or musical universes with this powerful and accessible creative package. This particular game has its flaws, but we believe this genre of game now seems to be taking a big leap forward with this particular entry. We expect to see a whole wave of games in the future based on this model. Number 9. Lonely Mountains Downhill. Newly released on Nintendo Switch, this mountain biking game is ridiculously compelling. It's just you, a bike, and 4 majestic mountains whose trails range from mildly dangerous to downright lethal. Come for the scenery, stay for the irresistible compulsion to shave seconds off your best times. On first glance, you may feel turned away by the minimalist graphics, but once you get into it, the fluidity and realism of physics really grab the attention of the player.
Smashed it!
Number 8. Cloudpunk. Dystopian cyberpunk rather loses its appeal when you're living through a real-life dystopia. But Cloudpunk isn't the usual Blade Runner-inspired violence fest.
So didn't weigh on me much. The opposing options never came off.
You play an immigrant delivery driver ferrying packages around a 3D pixel world that's fascinating to look at and eavesdrop upon. The beloved cyberpunk genre has been underrepresented in recent years, and this is a good start, with more anticipated releases coming later this year. Number 7. SnowRunner. This sounds like the most boring game in the world. Drive huge trucks through mud and snow to make deliveries, but it's unexpectedly hypnotic, slowly, steadily navigating these hulking vehicles through steadfastly unappealing places. Needs patience and methodical thinking rather than good reflexes and daring. The graphics are unbelievable, and it offers a refreshing break from the abundance of first-person gun games. The concept is totally unique, and we're sure it'll alter a lot of people's initial perceptions. Number 6. Doom Eternal. Doom is back, and it's the best it's ever been. Not only does Doom Eternal boast all the blood-pumping, gore-packed fun we expect from a Doom game, it also has a bunch of new RPG-like elements we didn't even know we needed. If you're looking for a game that doesn't focus too much on narrative and instead throws you into ripping and tearing some demons, then Doom Eternal is one not to be missed. Number 5. Ori and the Will of the Wisp. Ori and the Blind Forest was arguably one of the best Xbox One's games when it released back in 2015, so hopes were high when a sequel was announced. Ori and the Will of the Wisp not only lives up to the original, but it improves on it in every way. From the sumptuous art style to an overhauled and significantly improved combat system, Ori and the Will of the Wisp will firmly test your abilities as a gamer and pull on your heartstrings with its emotional story. Number 4. Resident Evil 3 Remake. Following up on the huge success of Resident Evil 7 and its remake of Resident Evil 2, Capcom remade Resident Evil 3 and completely nailed it. With its fast-paced action, excellent graphics, and, of course, terrifying zombies, the Resident Evil 3 remake is one of the best games of 2020. What's more, you get asymmetrical multiplayer survival horror Resident Evil Resistance as part of the package. Breaking into our top 3, we have Nioh 2. You could describe this as a Dark Souls but samurai, but Nioh 2 is no hollow tribute act. Carve your way through a vast Japanese folklore-inspired world, full of demons and spirits using a fun selection of heavy-hitting weapons and mystical abilities. It's tough though. If failure makes you want to throw things across the room, this could send several PlayStation controllers through the TV. A mesmerizing entry on this list, we love the graphics and motion fluidity, with the gameplay and objective-based accomplishments making for an immersive experience. Today's runner-up in at number 2, HalfLife Alyx. Some were afraid that HalfLife Alyx, one of Valve's first VR games and the first new entry in the series in over a decade, might not live up to the expectations. But without a shadow of a doubt, this is a Half-Life game that fills the roomy shoes that Valve left behind in 2007. It's that good. It is, like its forebears, a mind-bending joyride with a physics system to die for. The inventive, head-scratching scientific puzzles you're used to from the PC games, they're here. Tense jaunts through zombie-infested death pits that instill terror better than most horror games? Alyx has that in droves.
Nice throw.
And finally, our top spot today goes to Final Fantasy VII, the remake. One of the defining games of a generation returns, looking a heck of a lot better than it did in 1997. This remake proves that Final Fantasy VII's story has stood the test of time, an epic tale to sink into. The FF7 remake had the impossible task of satisfying people's memories of a 23-year-old RPG classic, while only tackling less than a third of its original story. It's successful in a lot of ways though, especially in its combat, which finally shows how the Final Fantasy series can bring the complexity of turn-based battles into its real-time action. While the side quests are flabby and the deviations from the original game will prove divisive, this finally gives fans what they've been asking for.
A barrier? Never seen this defense system.
And that concludes our list of the top 10 game releases of 2020 so far. We are excited to see what the rest of the year has in store for us. Again, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you really enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any suggestions for upcoming top 10s, please leave them in the comment section below. Keep your eyes and ears open for our next top 10 video. But until then, stay safe.